Then we had the match where I thought this has been so good so far, minus the buying, which admittedly I was playing Andromeda, ironically enough, in the background. So I was like, whatever. And this is the match where I thought, if they're going to trip up, if they're going to fall over, this will be it. Chris Jericho puts his career on the line as he faces MJF again. And he's lost all 3 contests with MJF coming into this. Now, the booking sucks. I'm sorry, it does. Not for the match itself.
The labors were awful.
Yeah, most of them were pretty terrible. I've no interest in watching Nick Gage. I'm sorry, he's not a draw for me. He's a fucking goof. You know, he's a clown. I'm not interested in Nick Gage. I love Juventud Guerrera, but not 55-year-old Juventud Guerrera, wherever he was coming in. Don't get me wrong, in great shape. I actually thought he looked better than Jericho in the match, but Wardlow is still such a green talent, and, you know, we'll get to that. But the thing is, this all started with the Pinnacle. You know, this has been a good long-term story in terms of it's been long-term, but it's been booked so horribly. You started with War Games and then worked backwards. Then you had Stadium Fuckery or whatever it is, Stadium Stampede.
Stadium Stampede.
Stampede Wrestling. It's Stampede Wrestling. This was not. Stu Hart, rest well. I hated the way it was booked. And if you just had a bit of sense and worked to the big match last, great. But, you know, I feel like we've taken, you know, they kept going 1 step forward, 3 steps back, 1 step forward, 3 steps back, 1 step forward, 3 steps back. And then we finally get to this and you think, you can't step back anymore. MJF's entrance is amazing. Comes out with the Jericho Titantron with a countdown. And Vince McMahon literally is having an aneurysm at that moment. Funny stuff. Worked me like an absolute treat. Because I
got fucked.
Yeah, no, it totally worked like a fucking mark. I was like, oh my God, that's so good. Oh my God, it's MJF. I thought it was great. I loved it. I was
so mad. I was so mad until I wasn't. I was like, fucking dick, that's awesome.
MJF is so good at being a heel that I can't actually hate him. Even if he'd say some horrible shit to me if he was here right now. And I'd just be like, you're so fucking good at it. It's difficult. And the crowd responded to him. A good portion, I'd say a good third of the crowd were cheering for him in this match, which was great. The match itself was fine. But Chris Jericho beats MJF after fuckery at the end. Now, you know, MJF beats him, but his foot's on the rope. I hate the way that they made Aubrey Edwards look fucking stupid in that moment. Like, she's your head official, but she at no point decides to turn around and look at his leg. She deliberately and so stupidly and naively doesn't look at it for the entire duration until it's pointed out to her. And she goes, oh. And that made her look fucking stupid. And Again, this is a small critique in a land of great positivity, as to be said. But I'm sorry if you thought that was anything but ridiculous. You know, you've got to be honest when things are stupid and things like that happen. That was dumb. It was so dumb. It undermined her as well. You know, I'd understand if it was Rick Knox because he was total AIDS, but fucking Aubrey Edwards is great. She's an amazing referee, and she was fantastic in this match in the little physical confrontation. The amount of times MJF has actually threatened to hit her or slap her or whatever, and has never actually touched her until this point, at least from my memory. And I thought that was a really cool throwback to all the times they've been going at each other. And she finally is like, don't you shove me, and pushes back, and he takes the roll up, and obviously, you know, he eventually wins by tapping him out. It doesn't make any sense because MJF's gone, okay, MJF's finally beaten Chris Jericho, tapped him out properly after he's beaten him before. That's it. No, I want one more match for my career. Fuck's sake, here we go again. And Jericho wins. So now we're back again where it's like, oh, great. Now MJF has got, it's like, you know, MJF's got this, no. MJF's that, no. And they just keep putting him back. And I think, let him fucking go at this point. You have to take the collar off, the muzzle off, the cone, whatever you want to call it, and let the boy rummage. He's not getting a chance to do that. And Chris Jericho, for my money, is getting in the way. That being said, this is actually as good a match as I thought it could possibly be. Powerbomb on the apron was fantastic. You know, Code Breaker was great. Chris Jericho is still botchy, but I feel like we got a much better Chris Jericho match here than we have done for a while. You know, and then we had the Inner Circle. Sammy Guevara did nothing on this show. That's a big disappointment. I would have actually liked it if Chris Jericho skulked away after he'd lost the trials, and then Sammy Guevara kind of takes up for him a bit. and says, "You know what, MJF, Chris isn't here. He won't be for a long time. But I'm sick of your fucking shit. And you could have had Sammy Guevara versus MJF here, and that would have, for me,
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, it would have torn the doors off. That's my personal preference. But what they did do with it was great. So, you know, hard to say, but, you know, the ending pissed me off a little bit and was just too overly dramatic and too stupid. And you knew they were going to restart. And then at that point, you know, Chris Jericho was going to win. And like I say, it just does feel like one step forward, 3 steps back. And again, took 3 steps back with the end of this match.
Yeah, I mean, I think we both called Jericho winning because it was kind of obvious. There was a lot of predictable
He's
matches.
never retiring. He'll die in there. He will die in there. He might die of diabetes, but he'll die in there.
And that's a terrible death, just so everybody knows.
And I don't wish that on anyone, trust me. Like, you know, I don't like body shaming people because I'm aware I'm a fat bastard, right? I'm aware I'm not in the best, you know, people will watch me and, you know, and I wrestle and people will be like, yo, your body's shit for a wrestler. And I'm like, oh, that's fine, you know. I believe that everyone should, but you can see there's a massive drop off in work rate and there is very much a kind of part-time feel about him. And if that's the case, like I said to you during the show, roll him out there as a special appearance. Chris Jericho is going to wrestle, you know, Chris Jericho making a rare appearance on Dynamite this week and he's going to wrestle someone who could do with a boost, like a Nick, you know, a Ryan Nemeth or someone like that. But for him to just continuously be in these positions of high power and, you know, and work it doesn't, for me, get MJF over that much. I know people are going to say, oh, we gave him a good rub, and we're about to talk about how you do that well in a minute, but it didn't work for me, not as much. And I came away from it feeling like I enjoyed the match, but I still have no fucking clue what they're doing with MJF, and he's by far and away their hottest heel. I feel like they're scared to truly let him completely go, because when they do, he might just completely overhaul all their other heels, because he is that good at what he does. Time will tell, though. There is at least a long time for MJF. There is not for Chris Jericho. But Chris, for the love of the business and for the company, please move aside a bit, sunshine, and let other people have their day.
Yeah, handing MJF his first loss in the company ever, as well, is a little. Yeah, it's a little. It's a little bittersweet because, like I say, MJF is the absolute future of this company. Like, whenever he gets to that main event level, and he will be AEW champion one day. Like,
he will be what CM Punk was to WWE in the early, you know, sort of like 2010 region through to about 2013.
Like, mark my fucking words right now. Like, he will be an incredible champion if and when it happens.